If you are on a budget and you still want to travel, we have got a $1,000 bucket list trip for you that will include flights, car rental, hotels, and food and activities.
And at the end of the video, we'll break it all down for you dollar by dollar so that you can do it too. Now, the trip that we're talking about here is to visit two of the most iconic American sites possible. And this is Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon. We're gonna cover this step by step, how you can pull this off for less than $1,000.
So let's start with day one. You're gonna fly into Las Vegas to the Harry Reid Airport, and there are so many inexpensive flights here. I've looked up a few just from popular states, and I wanted to share those with you. So from LA, it's only $48. Texas is $87. These are round trip flights. Yeah, wow. So Florida, $140. New York, $170.
That is crazy.
Yeah, we live in Utah, and we will often fly to Las Vegas. It's only a 7-hour drive, but it's cheaper for us to fly there than it is for us to drive our car.
Then when you get to the airport, of course, you got to pick up a rental car. So let's see, you pulled some prices on rental cars, right?
I did.
And range maybe from about $180 to $200
for the 5 days. Now that you've flown in and you've got your rental car, you're ready to hit the strip. You can spend a ton of money in Las Vegas, but whenever we go, we hardly spend anything because there's so many free things to do.
Oh no, our goal is to keep this under $1,000 and get a lot of fun for our bucks. So we're gonna go down to the strip and park at the Wynn Hotel. At least right now, that's the one that has free parking. There's probably a couple that have free parking, but that changes a little bit. But right now, the Wynn Hotel has free parking. And it's perfectly located on the north end of the strip, so we can go explore that on night one.
Yeah, this will take about half a day. And so you'll start with the Wynn, and you're just going to go inside and look at the pretty flowers in there. There's like a carousel that has flowers on it. And it's just really beautiful in there.
Immaculately decorated and just gorgeous. I think they do change that a little bit over time, but really, really beautiful. And then
they have the frog show.
The frog show is kind of weird. What's it called again? I gotta look this up. What's the Lake of Dreams show?
I think most people would come to it if they called it the frog show, but we call it the frog show because you go out back and they have like these tables and stuff set up, and then there's a big screen, and then this giant frog comes out above it and starts singing. And it's kind of, I would say it's a B-list attraction in Las Vegas for sure. So you don't have to do it, but it's like a free thing to do, and it goes like every 30 minutes at night. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, but it only goes for one song, I think. So we're talking about a 2 or 3 minute thing. It goes every 30 minutes, but that's what you get in Las Vegas for free entertainment. It's not going to be very long, but that's okay. It's kind of fun to go in there. And then you walk through the Wynn, through all the fancy shops, and just kind of daydream about spending your money in those shops, but we're not going to do it because we're staying on a budget here. And so after you leave the Wynn, where are you going? The Venetian?
Yeah, we're going to go to the Venetian.
Which definitely makes you feel like you are in Venice. It's actually really immaculate in there. It's beautiful, beautiful hotel. That might be my favorite one. I don't know. There's a lot of really fancy hotels in Las Vegas. And they've got a canal that goes through it, and you can do these gondola tours in there. But we're not going to do that because we're saving money, and those are actually quite expensive for what they are. But maybe if you have a few bucks, you could get a gelato.
Yeah, and after that, you're going to go on this bridge, and you can see the Sphere. This is like the new greatest thing in Las Vegas. And I mean, people go to concerts and there's a show there, but the Sphere is actually really cool to just look at from the bridge. And they're always changing what it looks like. When we were there in the winter, they had it looking like a snow globe. I mean, it looks like an emoji a lot of times. Like, so just like go peek at the Sphere as you walk across the bridge. That's one of the nice things about Vegas is they have overpasses, so you're not having to try to cross these crazy busy streets. And when you cross the bridge, you're going to end up at Caesar's Palace.
By the way, we have done this walking tour several times on the north end of the strip and on the south end. We'll get to it later. And Caesar's Palace is one of the older hotels in Vegas and one of my favorite. They have kept this thing up, and it is majestic inside, and you're going to see all these statues that make you feel like you're in ancient Rome. You need to go up and watch what's that little show called? The Atlantis. They have a little Atlantis show that has some fire. They have some like pyrotechnics going on in there. Okay. Again, kind of a short show like the frog show over at the Wynn, but
like it's very grandiose in there with the statues, and it's just
and the Trevi Fountain.
Yes,
you got to go outside and see the Trevi Fountain, and then go over there and see in front of the hotels the fountains of Caesar, where what's his name, Evel Knievel jumped over the fountains of Caesar. So you gotta go see all that.
We always say that like Vegas, it's like you can see the whole world in one city because all these casinos are themed after these really famous places in the world, and we've been to a lot of them. And we're like, so it's like a miniature version of it, but it's awesome. We end the night at the Bellagio, and we're not going to go in the Bellagio today because that's for tomorrow morning.
Okay.
But you're going to go watch the water fountains at night. Like this is the end scene in Ocean's 11 after they pull off their big heist and they're watching the water show. It's really my favorite free thing to do in Las Vegas. I mean, every 15 minutes at night they have this going. There's like 30 different songs, and it's really fantastic.
Way better than the frog show.
Way better than the frog show.
It
Yeah.
is the centerpiece of the strip, the Bellagio. The best, coolest place, and being around those fountains is awesome. You have to do that.
All right. So now you need somewhere to sleep. Okay. So the thing with Las Vegas is you can actually get a pretty cheap hotel here. I pulled up a lot of these on Booking. I did this for like the first week in June, but there were several hotels that were around $30 a night. Even the Bellagio, I think, was maybe 180. Like that's still not that much. So you can kind of pick your price point. One thing to look for on Las Vegas hotels is that they'll say like it's $30, but then there will be like a $50 resort fee. So I decided to make it $80 for your night in Las Vegas. But yeah, there's plenty of cheap places to stay right along the strip.
Our recommendation here is to stay at the Palace Station. This is what we've done several times, including our honeymoon 24 years ago.
It was like $8 a night or whatever.
right, right, but Palace Station's that's a good bang for your buck. Okay, now we are on day 2 of the trip. So
you have a 4.5-hour drive to the Grand Canyon. So you don't have a lot of time here, but we have a few things you can do before you head out. And the first thing I think we should do is go back to the Bellagio and see the botanical gardens inside. Those botanical gardens can get really crowded during the day, but in the morning they're not crowded at all, and they're phenomenal. We've always been there during Chinese New Year. They change it out 5 times a year, but like it smells amazing in there, and they really do some works of art in there. It's totally free. We saw a big Santa sleigh at Christmas time. I mean, they do some neat stuff in there.
the Bellagio is really cool. Okay, now from there we want to go explore the south end of the strip, and we'll have time to do that in the morning before we head to the Grand Canyon. So next hotel that you go to is New York, the New York Hotel. That is, gosh, I keep saying they're all cool. I really do enjoy all these hotels, and I love the walking tour because you're just kind of going from one cool new hotel to another one. In New York, you walk through and it does feel like you're in New York, and they have kind of the steam coming up from the vents there, the pizza shops, all that stuff. So you got to go into New York, New York. New York also has a little Hershey shop there.
Oh, they have a Statue of Liberty totally made out of chocolate, and we're on a budget trip. But my little splurge there is getting a Reese's sundae at the Hershey shop. So yummy. But then there's like a few other like candy themed shops in that area. There's an M&M shop with a little free video. They have a Coke shop. So like there's some fun little things, especially like if you have kids with you. Those are fun things that our children have enjoyed in the past.
And then as you work your way to the south end of the strip, you need to take your picture at the Las Vegas sign.
That's one of Matt's things he likes to do.
Everybody likes to get their picture at the Las Vegas sign. This is like, there's actually a dedicated little parking spot to pull off and go over there and get your picture with the Las Vegas sign.
Okay, and then this is not something you would normally hear about, but there's actually really good museums, and there's a museum here we think you should hit before you head out to the Grand Canyon, and that is the Museum of the Mob. This costs $30, but if you go earlier in the day, they knock $7 off the price, but you will never go to a more fascinating museum than this. It is crazy stuff.
Yeah, basically when the mob got ran out of the east, they moved west to Vegas as it was kind of coming up and took over Vegas for quite a while. And so they have stories. Whoa, baby, they have stories in the Museum of the Mob.
Yes, including like ways the mob has knocked people off. Like I avoided that section because it's a little gruesome, but I think a lot of people would find that very interesting.
They have the wall from the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in Chicago at the Museum of the Mob in Las Vegas. I don't know how they got this wall, but that was crazy. So anyway,
Yeah,
Museum
okay.
of the Mob, you got to see that.
Okay, now we're heading out of Las Vegas to the Grand Canyon, and we're going to stop at the Hoover Dam, which will cost you $10 to park your car. But the Hoover Dam is great, and I'm going to let Matt talk about it because he loves the Hoover Dam.
Well, the Hoover Dam was, at the time it was built, the biggest dam in the world. This was built in the 1930s, and so a lot of the architecture around there is kind of an Art Deco 1930s style, which is pretty interesting. A lot of monuments and memorials that you'll see as you walk over to the dam. The highlight is just walking over the dam. You can actually just walk over the Hoover Dam and see this incredible canyon, Boulder Canyon, in front of you. On the other side is Lake Mead, the lake that it forms. Lake Mead is the largest reservoir in the country. And so you'll be able to see all that stuff. It's really just astounding how big it is. They do have tours of the dam too, so if you get there early enough, you can get a day of tour. They also have a second tour that you can purchase online before you go, and you can schedule it. So those are a couple things you can do there. And then when you get done, you need to walk over the bridge. Now the road, they have built this massive bridge to bypass the road going over the dam, and that gives you some pretty good viewpoints as well. So all in all, you could probably spend about an hour or two at the dam.
Yes, okay, and now we're going to finish our drive and get to the Grand Canyon because we want to get settled in for the night for our next day of fun traveling. So we are going to recommend you stay in Williams, Arizona for the Grand Canyon. It's about an hour and 15 minutes away, but there's a ton of cheap places to stay there, including where we stayed. We stayed at El Rancho Hotel, which has been there for years, and I mean, it was a budget hotel, but it was nice and clean. Our room was just fine. It was under $100 a night. I think we spent like $295 on our 3 nights there. Like
Good deal.
it's a good deal. And there's a Safeway in town, so you can go pick up your groceries. We're planning on packing our own picnic, at least 2 meals a day. If you have a few more pennies, you can eat out 1 meal a day because we think that's part of the fun is trying to eat some of the local food. We try to always budget to do that. But yeah, go to Safeway, get your groceries, and get ready for the next day.
Williams is a Route 66 town, and as you go there, you could actually drive on Route 66, the longest intact stretch of Route 66 in the country, in fact, and stop at a couple of quirky little Route 66 sites if you have the time. So that way you can say you've been on Route 66 as part of this trip as well. And there are a lot of little Route 66 diners and memorabilia shops around them.
All right, so day 3, now we get to go to the Grand Canyon. So you're going to get up, you're going to drive the hour and 15 minutes to the Grand Canyon. And the first place you're going to want to stop is at Mather Point. And you're going to get your first view of the Grand Canyon. And it's like a movie premiere. Everyone is so excited. It's fun to see people's reactions because they've never seen it before. And it's one of the best viewpoints there.
Breathtaking. And from there, you want to walk along the canyon rim over to the museum, the little geology museum. When we were there last year in April, it was just a dream. The weather was perfect and just those views are amazing. So go check out the geology of it, learn a little bit about that, and catch that shuttle back to the visitor center.
We write an itinerary for the Grand Canyon with like lots of little secret hidden tips in it, and I'm going to share one of them with you right now. The big fancy restaurant there is El Tovar, and it's the only one there that actually has views into the Grand Canyon. And you don't need a reservation to eat breakfast here. And the breakfast here costs just as much as it costs to eat breakfast everywhere else, like $15. So if you're going to eat a meal out that day, go get breakfast at the El Tovar and enjoy those canyon views. It's like a special experience. We took our kids there and they loved it. It was just a fine dining experience for a budget price, and it was just really a fun experience.
We love budget. And the next thing that's budget friendly is to hike. So hike off those calories by going down the Bright Angel Trail. It's right there, pretty close. And it'll take you into the Grand Canyon so that you can say you've been inside the Grand Canyon. This interesting trail goes through 2 different tunnels. And if you go down about 1.5 miles, then you have to hoof it up 1.5 miles. And so all in all, that's about a 3-mile hike and is sufficient.
Yeah, it
You
goes
don't want
all
to go down any further.
No, it goes all the way down to the bottom. You have to just turn yourself around. But there's plenty of signage there warning you not to go all the way down if you're... Yeah. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to catch the shuttle bus and go do the Hermits Rest lookout. And along this road, you are going to be able to get off the shuttle several times and just look at different viewpoints. And it's just a really pretty road.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's got some of the best viewpoints, especially those viewpoints you can actually see all the way down to the Colorado River. And then it ends at a little stop called Hermit's Rest, which is a building that the railroad built there to make it look like a hermit lived there. It's kind of a haphazard type of a building. Has a little gift shop, place you can grab a bite to eat. There's a little arch there that you can take your picture in front of.
Now, if you're feeling splurgy, if you have a few extra dollars, you can actually rent bikes at the visitor center. And you can ride an e-bike all the way up to Hermit's Rest instead of taking the shuttle. We did this on our last trip. It was fantastic. We loved it because the shuttles at the Grand Canyon work great. They're easy to use. Like, you shouldn't stress about using those, but riding a bike is great because you're not having to deal with the hassle of having to wait in line for the shuttle to come. And you've got the breeze going and you can see the canyon the whole time you're riding. It's a wonderful trail. Our e-bike rental was $80 for half a day, and we were able to bike about 28 miles and see so much of the Grand Canyon in a way that we'd never seen it before. So, like, you know, I would like skip my eating out and pay for a bike rental, and if you want to pedal yourself, it's half the price.
Now, if you skipped the hike, you would probably have time to then drive out to Desert View Watchtower. So this is a scenic drive that goes out along the other side of the canyon rim there. They built this little tower that has a lot of Native American artwork inside. That is actually a really cool tower.
It's very cool.
To walk in and just explore what they put in there, but then also you get up to the top and you can overlook the Grand Canyon there and the Desert View area of the Grand Canyon.
Yes,
Beautiful views, and those are great views of the Colorado River too.
Yep, and they do sell ice cream there if you want to treat yourself to an ice cream.
Get ice cream.
Yeah, and then just end the day by watching a sunset at the Trail of Time. Like, this is a path that goes along the rim trail, And there's really not a perfect spot to see the sunset. You can see it just as you walk, and it's just a nice way to end the day.
Okay, up next is day 4 of your trip. Now remember, you're staying in Williams with that nice budget hotel there. It's going to free up a little bit of money to splurge on the Grand Canyon Railway.
Oh yeah, the Grand Canyon Railway is like a blast from the past. It's how tourists from the upper class traveled, because there wasn't roads, and it was like, even now the employees wear the white gloves and the uniforms, and you really do feel like a high class passenger going back in time. And this is something that's going to take all day. So you catch the train in the morning, and then you can buy different classes of tickets. And Matt and I actually made a whole video about this, because we got a coach ticket, and then we got a nice ticket, the Sky Dome. So we've done the nice things. And we have to say that we didn't feel like the Sky Dome really improved our experience that much at all. We loved Coach.
Coach is great. $90 per person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now this is about a 2.5-hour ride to the Grand Canyon Village. The ride is full of desert views, like really flat, barren desert views, and juniper trees and stuff like that. Not Grand Canyon views, okay? But it takes you to the Grand Canyon Village, and then they drop you off and give you about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that, to go do whatever you want there, actually. So you can go eat, you can explore the Grand Canyon Village. They have some tours that'll take you out to viewpoints. But what we want to do is a walking tour of the Grand Canyon Village. This is a historic village at the Grand Canyon that has all these interesting buildings. She mentioned Elavar, but there's others like the Hopi House, the Verkamps Visitor Center, Lookout Studio. And so we have actually made a walking tour that will teach you about each one as you walk around from building to building, and give you the little secret spots to look out for.
That's on our website, we'reintherockies.com. I just wanted to share some details about the Grand Canyon Village. Most national parks have villages, but they're not like this one. The Grand Canyon Village is very historic, and so the Hopi House looks like building the ancestral Puebloans would have used. Or the Kolb Studio, these are like the original photographers of the Grand Canyon, and it shows how they did that in the movies they showed the visitors. I mean, the things in the village here are worth a stop for sure. They're very, very interesting. And this is from someone that doesn't really care for museums too much. I never skip the Grand Canyon Village. So now you're going to catch the train back to Williams. And something kind of fun about this train ride is they realize that there's not a lot of scenery. And so they liven it up with entertainment. I mean, there's a show before you catch the train. You may or may not get robbed on your way back. There might be a fiddle player. So the ride is very fun. And so you're going to get entertained on your way back. And then when you get to Williams that evening, I love to just walk the main street of Williams. I mean, there's, like Matt said, it's a Route 66 town. So there's diners and all these little trinket shops, a lot of Elvis stuff. And it's just fun to window shop. They've got music playing. Just a fun atmosphere.
Yep.
All right. So day 5 is when our trip is getting over, but we still have time for a little more fun. So if you have a few extra dollars, there is Barona right in Williams. And Barona is a drive-through animal park, which is the best one we've ever seen. I mean, this is a classy establishment. It costs around $30 per person for an adult. So if you're a child or a senior, it'll be a little bit less. But our very favorite thing here is there is this enclosure for grizzly bears. And these are 3 rescued cubs that they have built this beautiful enclosure for, and they're just brothers and sisters hanging out. And
they're not cubs anymore. They've grown up a little bit
they're
now,
big. Yeah,
but they are beautiful, and that enclosure is wonderful. Yeah, they rescued it when they were little cubs. The mom died somehow, so that is a fantastic one. But also the drive is awesome. Just be able to go drive around, see like the bison and all the different animals that they have there. The javelinas. Yeah, they have some cool animals there. That is a really fantastic park.
Yeah, then you're going to drive 4.5 hours back to Las Vegas and catch your flight. This is the 5-day bucket list trip. So I wanted to break this down for you, how I came up with these numbers, to let you know that this is actually possible. I actually spent time researching all of this. So out the door costs, I averaged the flight, so I'd say $111, could be a little more or a little less, depending on where you're coming from. Gas for the rental car, $127. The car rental is $200. Hotels, we figured about $373. That's your hotel in Las Vegas and your 3 nights in Williams. And then for food, I estimated between $84.50 if you just eat every single meal, like from the grocery store. It could be as much as $177 if you eat a meal out every day. That's planning on every meal costing around $25. You know, you will have to pay for a park pass to go to the Grand Canyon. That's $35. And then for the optional activities, you know, we mentioned Barona, the Hoover Dam, the Grand Canyon Railway, Museum of the Mob, riding bikes. That could cost you anywhere between $30 or $200 depending on which of those you do. So that ended up being $931 per person. But of course, most of us travel with somebody else, like their sweetheart. And if you were going with somebody else, that would greatly decrease your cost down to $563 per person. So a very cheap trip.
All right, so let us know what you think. Is this a trip that you're interested in doing? And also, we have other ideas for $1,000 trips if you would like them. So let us know in the comments if you would like us to give you some more videos that are like this. Now, if this has whetted your appetite to plan a trip to the Grand Canyon, we have several resources for you on our website, we'reintherockies.com. And you're going to want to watch this trip planner on how to visit the Grand Canyon that we made just for you. Thanks for watching.